Hey, welcome to Screenplay Junkie. My name's Drew Hellmich, and I love screenwriting and everything there is about movies. But before anything makes it to the screen, it always begins with text on paper. So if you're a fellow addict of film and storytelling, join my brothers, Matt and Bryan, and I as we take a look at various types of screenplays, short stories, and other source material that were crucial to the creation of the stories we all love. There will be spoilers, though, so I do recommend being familiar with the title that's being discussed. Sound good? All right, then let's get started. Welcome back, fellow story addicts, to Screenplay Junkie episode 43. Drew, Matt, and Bryan here.
43 in studio.
Yeah, welcome home, Brian. Welcome home for Thanksgiving break.
Here.
I'm thankful that you're home.
Oh, thank you for that, Matt. Drew, are you thankful that I'm home?
Yeah, I am, yeah.
Okay,
I can't disagree
I think
with
I
that.
sounded a little bit more thankful. Not going to lie.
Yeah, I was pretty passive. But yeah, happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Today's episode, we're actually going to be hitting theater to watch Knives Out.
Knives Out. But before we get into Knives Out, I want to play a quick game with you guys in honor of last week's episode, Rear Window, right? Rear Window followed a guy who saw a murder out his window, right? Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Correct.
And I want to play this game, and it's called People Watching or Peeping Tom.
I
Okay.
was really hoping for Connect 4, but...
Okay, well, we're going to play People Watching or Peeping Tom, all right? Basically, how this game is going to work is that I'm going to describe a scenario, and you guys, Drew and Bryan, are going to have to decide whether the person being described is being a people watcher or being a peeping Tom.
Like, how does this go? Do we both get an answer, or is it just like...
Oh, you guys can, decide together.
All right,
like
sure.
debate, and then
So,
hold a
fine.
debate.
You guys will get it. Let me just give you the first one here. So let's say you're in a line waiting at a store and you're watching a woman purchase numerous amounts of lingerie, and you can't stop watching because you want to see all the various clothes that she has to hand to the clerk. Are you people watching or are you a peeping Tom?
I'm calling the cops and getting handcuffs
mean-
because he's a peeping Tom.
I would say, I don't know, it sounds like a combo to me, especially...
You're in a public place and you're just watching someone, like they're just buying weird stuff and you're just watching.
Yeah, I mean, it could get weird if you're watching too much. And like I think you said last episode, Bryan, it depends on the facial expression that you have.
Oh, very true.
Or if you're breathing down her neck while she's trying to check out, she's like, I'm just trying to swipe my credit card. Can you stop breathing on me?
I mean, but if his name is Tom and he is peeping, then that would make him a peeping Tom.
It's just weird. Like if you're at a store, mind your own business, right?
Right,
That's
sure.
like the solution there.
Okay.
All right, next one. So you're walking your dog, or this person in the scenario is walking their dog, and someone has a football game on the TV inside their house. So this person stops and starts watching the game from outside this person's house for about 15 minutes. And about 10 minutes in, they start to notice that they're actually attracted to the person inside the house. And they're still watching the game.
I'd say up to that 10-minute marker, you're an innocent bystander, just people watching, TV watching. But after that subtle interest, you're a peeping Tom.
You're giving it 10 minutes?
That's a long time to be standing at someone's house just watching in their window.
Yeah, what's
whether
going
it's a
on?
TV or not, right?
Yeah.
Peeping Tom, right?
Yeah, it starts out as people watching, but then it evolves into peeping Tom, I would say.
I mean, peeping Toms have dogs too. They even
Yes.
weird people can own dogs. Even though dogs are great, I love dogs.
Yes,
Yeah.
very.
Love dogs. All right, next one. So your neck is broke and you're in a wheelchair and you're also in a full body cast and you can't move at all. So you can't move your neck. You're forced to look in one position. And whoever puts you in your room, you're facing out your window, just like the guy in Rear Window.
Sure.
And you see a good-looking girl across the street in her house, and she's doing yoga.
Yep.
And you watch. So are you a peeping Tom or are you a people watcher?
A peeping Tom under a certain consent because you are bound to a wheelchair.
Because you can't look away.
Yeah, that's involuntary,
Involuntary.
peeping Tomery.
It's like a
Whatever. I mean, you should probably just
Close
if
your eyes.
Yeah.
That's what you said when I ran this one by Bryan this morning. He's like, yeah, just close your eyes.
Yeah. That would suck, though. I get that. That's a great scenario.
I feel like we need to blame the person that put this guy there. It's like, give him
That's
something
true.
else to do. Like, put him in front of the TV. Anything else. Instead of staring out a window. It's 2019. So this person has a thin mustache and they're wearing a trench coat, sitting at a coffee shop, and they're staring at other customers who are eating food, but they're not eating themselves. Are they people watching or are they a peeping Tom?
It's a peeping Tom. You said he had a thin mustache.
And a trench coat. They have a thin mustache. Yeah, real thin. Like Kip in Napoleon Dynamite.
Okay.
And they're wearing a trench coat. And they're at a coffee shop, but they didn't order anything. They're just sitting there, and they're just staring at people while they eat.
I would hope that they're clothed underneath the trench coat.
Yeah, we can assume that.
Does he have a white van in the parking lot, too? Like, who is this
Potentially.
guy?
Well, what do you guys, is that people watching or being a Peeping Tom? What do you think?
He's, I mean, it's weird because I find myself like sitting. I'm like eating, maybe not eating. Like, yeah, I look around and gaze.
But I'm not gazing. I'm talking staring.
Yeah, he's being a Peeping Tom.
I don't know. I feel like he's just kind of being weird because you're in public.
You're pushing boundaries.
You're not
of when it comes to people watching.
This one kind of floats in between.
Yeah, it's just get your eyeballs out of there.
Yeah, and stop wearing a trench coat in public, you weirdo. All right, next one. So you're flying a drone around town, and you're using the camera to see things. You're just flying around, but then occasionally you fly the drone and you start looking inside people's windows. Just, not for too long, but you're just kind of flying by. Hey, what's Judy doing? What's my neighbor Tom doing? Mm-hmm. Peeping Tom or people watcher?
I think it's Peeping Tom. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and lay it down. When your eyes are passing like a barrier / window of somebody's household, you are automatically a Peeping Tom.
Well, you can glance, but it's until you become fixated.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Correct.
Man. This one's totally
especially
Peeping
with
Tom.
this drone. This is like now you're using technology to enhance your Peeping Tom-ness.
Peeping Tom-ness.
Sure.
Enhance
tomfoolery.
Yeah, man. There have been like real life cases like this where people have complained that there have been like drones like trying to get through their windows and stuff, like videotape what they're doing. It's so weird. All right, so last one here. You own an Airbnb and you have cameras set up inside your home. Mm-hmm. And you occasionally check the live feed to make sure that your house is okay while people are renting it. But you also like to see just what they're up to while they're living at your place. Mm-hmm. People watching or Peeping Tom?
I mean, that's just invasion of privacy. Like, if you had it in the contract of, like, wherever you're going to stay and it said, oh, by the way, there are cameras installed and, we're obliged or able to, like, legally we're able to view what you have going on just to make sure that you're not destroying anything, then that's fine. But
consent, that's the big word there. You have to know that there's cameras in the house.
Yeah.
I think what do you think, Bryan, before I say?
No, I totally second that. If he's letting the people know rather than going in, shutting the door, pulling a big old bag of puffed Cheetos out and just watching these people.
The puffed Cheetos.
Oh, yeah, he's got puffed Cheetos.
I feel like Peeping Toms love puffed Cheetos, for sure. Yeah, this one's like a thin line because there have been cases in real life where people have sued Airbnb owners because they discovered that there were cameras in the house and they weren't told about them.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, kind of a fine line. But yeah, thanks for playing, guys. That was People Watching versus Peeping Toms.
Yeah.
That was amazing. I think that could be a national hit on
It's a good
like
game.
ABC.
I like it. It was a good fun.
But let's get back to Knives Out. Because
Knives Out.
I mean, clearly none of us have seen this. I myself, I'm just going to speak for myself. Like, I feel like I don't know much about this movie. I've seen only like a couple trailers. That's about it. All I know is that the cast looks amazing as far as everyone who's in it.
And this is the first day it's out. We're seeing it on its premiere night.
Wait, this premieres on a Tuesday?
You know it.
I think this is the first premiere movie I've ever seen in my entire life.
Really?
I don't think I've ever been to show to the theater in a while for a preview.
But let's talk about some of other people who are part of this because so it's directed by Rian Johnson, and maybe some of you might cringe with that name because he did the most recent Star Wars film, Episode 8, and
it's The Last Jedi, right? Yeah, that's what it's called.
Is it? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
correct.
Yeah.
It's not on Netflix.
I've heard mixed reviews from people who are like Star Wars fanboys. I like Star Wars, but I'm not like a crazy fan about it. But I personally did not like the most recent Star Wars. But a lot of people would agree that Rian Johnson decimated that Star Wars film.
Yeah, what I like researched this a little bit earlier today because I was just okay with the movie. I thought it was like good, not great. But I guess what fans, like the diehard fans, thought, they thought that he went against the standards set by the other films, okay? And they definitely thought that Rey learned the Force way too quickly, which I agree with. She was like a master after like 48 hours of learning she could control the Force or whatever.
Yeah.
Other diehard fans thought that Rian Johnson, the director, they thought he added lame comedy and turned Luke Skywalker into like a grumpy old coward, which I kind of agree with. He was kind of annoying. How he was like, I don't want to do anything. I'm staying here on this island.
Yeah.
And fans are pissed because he's actually this guy Rian Johnson, he's set to direct his own Star Wars trilogy in the future. You know, the date has not been released to that. It could be 2 years, it could be 5 years, we don't know. But fans have actually started petitions online to cancel his trilogy.
Dude,
because they hated his movie so much. Episode 8, they didn't like it.
I mean, you can't, any sort of creative endeavor, you cannot hit every time. So it's understandable.
Yeah,
but
I can say this. I don't think Disney cares because it made
No,
$1.3 billion.
they don't care at all.
They don't care.
But
Money in the bank.
Oh yeah, other movies that Rian Johnson has done though is Looper, and that movie's pretty cool.
That one, yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's Bruce Willis and what's his name?
Joseph Gordon-Levitt or Levitt.
Yeah, it's like time travel and hitmen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
Right. Do we want to talk about some very quick user reviews
On Knives Out?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's
Correct.
do it.
Yeah,
Brian, you want to start us off?
definitely. So, I went to our local or our best website for information, IMDb.
Yes.
I read the reviews, only the titles, didn't get anything in depth, so no spoilers for us. I'm not going to say anything for anybody out there. So our first one was a 9 out of 10, so pretty good for us. Don't trust the user score, so they're setting the tone. Don't even bother scrolling down and reading here.
Yeah, because the user score right now for Knives Out, it says it's a 7.7 out of 10. However, the critics have given it an 85 out of 100.
Okay, that's actually pretty damn good.
That's
All right,
amazing.
Yeah.
and now this guy wasn't very happy. 1 out of 10. Overhyped mystery theater at its best. So he's thinking it's like the most overhyped type of thing that we can go see, and it's just going to be a letdown.
Okay.
We'll find out. Yeah,
It followed up with another letdown here of 2 out of 10. Starts out good, slowly turns into crap. And then to wrap it up, we got a great 10 out of 10, the perfect whodunit film.
Okay.
So we're in for a huge mystery, it seems.
I mean, face value, this movie kind of sounds like Clue or something like that.
Yeah, it's a classic whodunit. You know?
Yeah.
Who did it? Who killed him? Who did it? We're going to find out.
Let's talk about some other IMDb info, though.
Yeah, definitely. So this movie's coming out today. Or actually, it says on the website it's coming out tomorrow, technically. So we're ahead of the game.
Wow.
Hell yeah.
Whoa.
Early access, Screenplay Junkie, we got VIP cards.
I'll go ahead and read the log line now. A detective investigates the death of a patriarch of an eccentric, combative family.
Okay.
Short and sweet, man.
Yeah,
I love the
definitely.
short ones. Yeah, so he's going to investigate a death. Let's go. Directed and written by Rian Johnson. And starring in this movie, just to name off the names, it's Daniel Craig, Chris Evans, Captain America, Ana de Armas, Jamie Lee Curtis, Michael Shannon, Don Johnson, Toni Collette, LaKeith Stanfield, Christopher Plummer, Catherine Langford, Jaeden Martell, Ricky Lindholm, and Eddie Patterson. And don't forget about Frank Oz, who coincidentally was the voice of Miss Piggy in The Muppets.
And Yoda, I believe.
He was Yoda.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure he was
pretty
Yoda
good,
as
though.
well.
Yeah, man. Don't ask me to do it again. It's never going to get any better than that.
Okay.
A lot of names there, though, so this
Cool.
thing is packed. It's
Yeah.
packed. And I know it was made for about $40 million. We have no idea how much money it's made yet because it's coming out today. So
Correct.
we'll see. I mean, my guess is it's going to make a bank load because you got all these big names. And I really don't remember a mystery movie like this coming out for quite some time. Actually, never mind. 2 years ago, the Murder on the Orient Express, actually.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Interesting.
Never saw it.
All right, you guys want to do the trivia?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad I just brought up the Murder on the Orient Express because this movie, Knives Out, is somewhat based on the old classic Agatha Christie novels, if you have ever heard of her. Right?
Yep.
She wrote books way back when titled And Then There Were None, for example, and then also The Murder on the Orient Express. So that book, And Then There Were None, I think it's like 10 people get invited to an island and they start getting killed off. It's a book I remember reading, I think, in junior high or high school for a class, and it was pretty cool.
Okay.
And yeah, that Orient Express movie that was made 2 years ago, it starred Johnny Depp. The movie didn't get the best ratings, but it made under 300 mil worldwide. So great success. And that's all the trivia I have. Not much on this one.
All right,
Since
that's cool.
It's brand new.
I'm happy with it. Let's talk about some predictions before we go watch this thing. So, right off the bat, just based on the title, Knives Out. So, how many knives do you think are going to come out?
I'm going to say 13 or more. I'm set on 13.
Yeah.
13 feeling lucky today.
I mean, what classifies as a knife? Is like a sword a knife? Like, are there going to be ninja stars? Or can we count those as knives?
Sure, just any sort of
anything with a blade.
I saw something in the previews where it looked like they were sitting on like the Iron Throne in Game of Thrones. It was just like a bunch of knives on a seat.
Wow.
Yeah.
So maybe there's going to be like a knife seat. Maybe that's how they get killed because they sit down on the knife.
knife seat.
I don't know, man. I mean, I'm thinking there's going to be tons of knives.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'm going to quantify it either. I'm hoping that there's a ton of them.
To be honest, probably in a murder, it's probably one knife. I'm not going to lie. Usually you commit murder with one knife.
One knife kills them all.
Yeah, the murder is just the knife. It's an inanimate object. That's the murderer.
And let's keep track of our answers here, because once we come to segment 2, let's review and see how we did. Now, the second question is just name the real actor's name. So who do you think is going to be the killer?
Oh, I got to go first on this one. I think Chris Evans, Captain America, he's definitely going to be the killer. He's always the hero in his movies.
True.
I'm ready to see him be a dirty little dirtbag. Wow, that was redundant. He's the killer. He's going to be the killer. I'll tell you why right now, too. In the credits, his name is Ransom Drysdale.
Okay, Ransom.
Guilty.
Killer written all over.
Guilty. Ransom, you're guilty.
All right,
You know
all
what?
right.
I'll follow up with the good hero. I'm gonna go with Jamie Lee Curtis. She was always chased by Mike Myers. She probably wants to get a knife in her hand.
Yeah, for real.
Get a little stabby. We don't know.
Okay, yeah,
so
for
maybe
sure.
she wants to
A little
switch
stab
up.
happy. Yeah.
I got you. All right.
What do you think, Drew?
I'm gonna go with that. There is no murderer. Actually, it's just the man who is the patriarch of this family, who is supposed to be dead, but he's actually alive, and he's just testing his loyalty of his family,
April Fools.
just to see how they react as far as the craziness of who gets the his wealth.
Wouldn't that end you up in jail though? Because you're wasting police resources.
Yeah, so he'll be the enemy. I don't know, man. Or it'll be the detective or Daniel Craig.
Oh,
Okay.
What if the detective's the killer? Oh my gosh.
You never know. But let's review that after we watch it. So the final question: what are you most looking forward to in this film?
I think personally, probably just aesthetically, because I remember seeing these commercials. It looks like a pretty well, colorful and cool filmed movie.
Yeah,
So I'm interested to see how that unfolds.
Yeah,
and of
'cause
course the story as well.
It takes place in a cool mansion, so
Okay,
it'll
Yeah.
probably look sweet and just make us all jealous about how our lives suck and how the places of our living are just horrible.
Yeah.
I'm excited to just figure it out. I want to try to figure out who's the killer in my own mind as the movie goes on, and
Yeah.
I'm excited just to be yes, I knew it. I knew it was you. Whether or not I'm right or not, I'm just going to stand up in the theater and be like, "Ha, I knew it."
I agree with that for sure. I'm excited just to see how mind bending this movie is and where the twists go and that sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Also, just to see how the cast interacts with each other with all these big names and how much time they get on screen and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, man.
I just want to say one more thing too. The tagline, right? Movies have taglines sometimes, like a little
Yeah.
catchphrase. The catchphrase for this movie is "Hell." Any of them could have done it, which is kind of cool. I feel like we're going to see
definitely.
each character is going to have some kind of motive. So
Yeah,
Should
right.
be- should be interesting.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
should be okay.
All right, well, let's go watch this thing and come back and record segment 2.
let's do it.
Sounds good.
Okay, well, we're back about 3.5 hours later.
It was a long one. It was a tough one. It was a long one to get through.
What was the runtime? I'm gonna check it.
You said 2 hours and 5 minutes.
I think so.
I
Could be
believe
wrong.
that's right. So
I think-
2 hours and 10. Ooh, extra 5 minutes on you guys.
I don't know. It felt longer to me, but we can get to that.
It's a mystery.
Really quickly, no spoiler section. So let's just talk briefly about some no spoiler thoughts of the film. So, did you like it? Did you not like it? Without giving anything away.
I mean, I was telling you guys in the car, I personally didn't. I mean, this was just off the start, it was pretty interesting, and then it just dragged. One of those movies where I was sitting there waiting for it to be over with. I was waiting for the surprise ending, and I really just wanted to get out of the theater, to be honest with you.
Just want to get to the bathroom.
Yeah, dude.
Really?
I don't know. I love a whole mystery and trying to figure things out, but the way the story unfolded, it really was just given to us essentially. Not really, but I just lost interest about halfway through the movie.
What did you think of the characters?
Of the characters themselves?
Yeah. Like the acting.
Yeah, I found it pretty interesting at some points and everything, but there was a couple characters that were a little snobby and annoying, I felt, but
Yeah.
they all had their initiatives to be and feel that way. You learn.
They
but
definitely
it's
made
okay.
the rich family kind of rich dicks at some points.
Exactly.
A few of them.
Correct.
Yeah, for sure. I would agree with that.
At some points they were like that, which I guess you could say about rich people in real life. They can be snobby.
Mm-hmm.
I liked the beginning a lot. It was cool watching the cops interview them all at first, and they had the intertwining storylines, you could say.
Yeah.
The way they conducted the interviews, or the way they showed you on screen, they'd be interviewing one person, but then they would ask someone else the same question, and you just get a totally different response, or something where each family member was trying to make it seem like they were cool with the dead guy. They were trying to make it seem like everything was okay in the relationship and everything, and it was just so obvious to the detectives that something in the family just wasn't quite right. And it was pretty obvious that people were lying, which was cool though. So it's like setting up this suspense, right? That you're like, okay, who killed this guy? Like clearly someone's up to no good. And I like how they presented that.
I agree. I think the use of perspective was pretty interesting.
Plus, like having Daniel Craig, like the inspector in the background, like he kept hitting the piano when someone would say something stupid. He was like, "Think," just to throw him off guard. I enjoyed that.
Yeah. I guess I mean, just to wrap it up, unless you guys have some other talking points, who's your favorite character?
Daniel Craig.
Daniel Craig.
Yeah. I mean, he's like this witty, eccentric detective, kind of like Sherlock Holmes, where he almost seems kind of dopey at times, but yet he's like still on top of everything. And he's really, really he has an eye, like the eagle eye, right? He can notice anything if you give him a chance. Yeah, I liked him, and he was kind of funny too.
Yeah. What about you, Bryan?
Yeah, dude, I was thinking
him
while
as well?
Matt was talking, I guess I would give it to him, but I just really didn't like his accent either that he was pulling off in the movie.
I also liked Chris Evans, Captain America. His character was cool. He did a good job.
Yeah. I liked Ana de Armas.
Yeah, she played the nurse. She did a great job.
Yeah. Do you guys got any other talking points as far as no spoilers?
Yeah, no spoilers. I mean, I'll just say there's like, in terms of like a whodunit movie where it's a murder mystery, right? You usually have to wait to the end, right? Of like a Scooby-Doo where they're like, oh, those meddling kids, they got me. And then you find out who did it. This movie's different. There's like a huge reveal in the middle of the movie, which I didn't see coming at all. It's a total, it's a plot twist. It's
very different.
It's an M. Night Shyamalan, a twist. You know, they really throw it in there and it catches you off guard. But the ending to me, you know, without giving anything away, it didn't really satisfy me, and I know you guys feel the same way. I was expecting to be in awe and like in shock and being like, holy hell,
yeah, right.
That's the killer, or like that's the person that's the bad guy or the bad girl. And at the end, I was just kind of like, oh, okay, all right. I mean, it made sense, I guess, in some ways, but my reaction just wasn't what I wanted. Like I told you, Bryan, this morning, like I was expecting to be in the theater just like, whoa,
just mind blown.
No way, like. Whoa, because I mean,
didn't get that feeling at all.
Yeah, I didn't get that, and that's kind of a letdown. But overall, entertaining. I felt like it was trying to be too hard to be like a fun movie. Didn't you guys feel like it sometimes like comedy was kind of forced?
I didn't really like the comedy they were trying to push. I didn't really care for it. There were a couple parts that I was like, okay, yeah, that works. But other times I just shook it off and was like, nah.
I mean, yeah, they were like revealing the overusage of cell phones, the usage of jewels. Like they were like cracking jokes.
Just contemporary.
The one girl was juuling. Okay. That was pretty funny. I laughed at that. I didn't know if that was supposed to be funny, but I laughed at that. I want to mention this too, like the premise of like the mystery writer as the person that was killed. It's kind of cool. Like this guy made his whole living writing mystery stories, and he's the one that ends up, you know, being the centerpiece of this mystery because he's dead. So I thought that was cool. But other than that, like I said, the final act, it just didn't really do it for me, and I know you guys feel the same way.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just going to echo again, just to wrap it up. Yeah, I liked the beginning, but I think as it went on, I just stopped caring.
I wouldn't say stopped caring. I thought the acting was excellent.
Yeah, I mean, there was just a moment when it lost me. We'll talk about it in the spoiler section later.
We get into it now, right?
Yeah, we can get into that now. So if you don't want us to ruin the movie for you and you haven't watched it yet, I would suggest pausing it and coming back after you watch it.
Yeah, so red alert, spoilers coming up. If you don't want to know what happens, get out of here.
To begin the spoiler section, let's just go over the predictions that we had in the first segment. So the first question was, how many knives will come out?
Just one came out, or two.
There was a lot of knives.
Yeah. Well, I guess being used. There were a lot of knives.
In terms of knives that had blood on them, only one.
Only one knife. Yeah.
One bloody knife.
Prop knife. That knife wheel was pretty cool. I like that. And I also liked when they had like the shots of like their heads like in the middle of the wheel.
Yep.
The hole.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of
appreciated.
That was some pretty cool directing, cinematography.
Yeah, there was all kinds of cool directing, and the cinematography too was like pretty neat. But it definitely didn't take away from like everything else that was going on. Like my eyes were always on the actors, not on like things in the background.
The next question, there was only two. The next question was, so who is the killer? Bryan, you said Jamie Lee Curtis.
Correct, and I was wrong.
I said Harlan.
And I said Captain America, Chris Evans.
Yes.
And me and you together were kind of right.
Correct.
Yeah, we could give ourselves like half rights, maybe something like that. Yeah, because Harlan kills himself, and Chris Evans gets arrested for I mean, basically plotting the murder that never happened, but he murders someone else.
Exactly.
So yeah, let's talk about the movie, guys. Main plot points here. So we open the movie with Fran, who's a housekeeper, and she finds Harlan dead with his throat slit on a couch in his study.
I love how they call her the help. That's so demeaning. It's
The
like
what?
She's like, oh, they're the help. That's such a demeaning thing. It's like she's an employee of your father.
Exactly.
And all the the sons and daughters called her the help. It's so demeaning. Don't ever call someone the help.
No. I mean, especially like somebody who probably knows your father more than you do.
Yeah. And helps him more than you do.
Exactly. So with Harlan being dead, this starts an investigation. So that's when we meet Daniel Craig and the two other local police people.
Mm-hmm.
And like we said in the spoiler-free section, that there are some pretty interesting Q&A type scenes where there's some interrogation going on with all the characters. We get to meet everybody. They tell their stories of what happened, and some of their stories that they share lead to some potential reasons for committing murder.
Yeah, I mean, everybody has a motive. Everyone clearly has tension with this old man. I mean, they're all trying to pretend like they're buddy-buddy with him, but the cops aren't buying it because all the stories just don't really add up. And as we find out, too, while watching, that everyone kind of had arguments with Harlan, the old man, the night that he died.
Yeah. So, I mean, I just have a question about this. So when we had these limited perspectives of these people's stories, like who were you riding with as the murderer or as the main suspect?
Off the beginning?
Just off the beginning.
I thought it was Michael Shannon because they had
The
that
publishing
conversation.
thing?
So every single one of his kids is a mooch, like essentially. Like they're all living
Yes.
off his success because he's this huge writer. Like he's the Agatha Christie of this movie world where he's a bajillionaire essentially. He's got all this money. And all of his kids are kind of feeding off him in different ways, at different levels as well. But Michael Shannon's character, Harlan, the old man, hires him or whatever to lead like the publishing aspect of all his books. And he's like trying to negotiate movie deals and things like that. And the guy wants nothing to do with it. So they have this huge argument, and he basically tells him that he doesn't want him to be in charge of the publishing anymore. So to me, that was the biggest motive.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there were other people that maybe alluded to you thinking that it was them. I mean, Chris Evans was the obvious suspect, where it was like, okay, that's too easy.
Yeah, because they have this. He stormed
out.
out. He left because of an argument. Yeah.
Yeah, just in the very beginning stages.
Mm-hmm.
So we get these few characters' perspectives, and then we finally get to Ana de Armas, who plays Marta, the nurse of Harlan.
Yeah, well, nurse and friend. Like she was his best friend.
Yeah, totally.
He liked her a lot more than he liked his family.
Yeah. So even before, when she sits in the chair, we immediately get her true perspective of what happened. And that's when we learn, I wanted to talk about this because she has this like thing about her that if she lies, she throws up. Is that real?
No, I looked it up. It doesn't
real.
exist.
It can't be real. I can understand like from an anxiety standpoint. Like, like you hear about like Chad Johnson when he was in the NFL, he used to throw up before football games because of anxiety. So she must get so much anxiety about lying. That's like the only thing I can draw from that.
So if it's real, great. If not, whatever. But this is what she has, so it heightens the stakes of her character for this situation.
And it makes the detectives trust her.
Yes, yeah.
Because they were like, oh, she can't lie. She'll throw up.
Right, so even before we see her tell the detectives her story, we as an audience get to see her story through her eyes. And what we see is she's with Harlan, it's his birthday, and she's putting him to bed, and they play a game, and then he has to take his meds before going to sleep. And she thinks she accidentally gives him a lethal dose of morphine instead of giving him whatever the other medicine was.
Right. It was just like a non-addictive painkiller or something like that.
Yes. And so they think he has like 10 minutes to live. So he's
and she's panicking. She's freaking the fuck out.
As you would. I mean, that would be terrifying. So he's like, don't worry, like I got it, because he's this mastermind of a mystery writer.
And he accepts he's going to die.
Yeah. And he says, listen to me, I have a plan already figured out. If you do what I say, the cops are not going to suspect you of anything. So she listens to him.
Because she's panicking.
and follows his steps like to a T, basically. But,
Elaborate steps.
yeah, very elaborate, like ridiculous mystery plot type stuff. And he ultimately kills himself, slits his own throat to make it look like...
to try to hide the fact that he just had been given too much morphine.
Right. But there is...
Trying to cover for Ana de Armas, the nurse.
But there's a total flaw in his plan.
Exactly.
Because, as we've established, he is a mystery writer and should know all of these details. He forgot one very specific detail.
The golden detail.
Yeah, and it's when you die, they do blood toxology on everybody that dies. And if they ran blood reports on him, they would discover that he had a lethal dose of morphine in his system before anything happened with a knife on his throat. Right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So he gives her all these elaborate steps to cover up the fact that she gave him a lethal dose of morphine, which he believed. But in reality, he slit his own throat just to like the cops would they would know that they would have figured that out, which we find out throughout the plot that yeah they did, but because of what another person manipulated within that medicine, they switched the vials, switching the morphine with another drug. So he really wasn't given any morphine.
Right.
But he believed he had morphine.
So this is all about his perspective.
Exactly. It just doesn't really make any sense. Like someone who is a renowned mystery and storyteller, you'd think they would have realized that, like, once you die, they look at your blood.
Yes.
So this entire story revolves around the fact that he's trying to cover up for the nurse, right? He's trying to save her ass because he believed that she made a mistake and accidentally gave him a lethal overdose, right? Mm-hmm. But it just makes no sense because he should have known that they would have ran the blood toxology and found out that morphine would have been in his system, and they would have been like, whoa, like either he committed suicide because he was too junked out on morphine, but wait, who gave him the morphine? Oh yeah, the nurse. So they would have found that out, like, regardless.
Even if that was the actual reason of death.
Yes. Whether it was suicide or not, they would have found that out.
Yeah.
Right? So it's just like, why are you telling her to go through all these elaborate steps, and then why are you slitting your own throat when you should have known that there's morphine in your blood, and the cops would have found that?
Yeah. So up to this point, I think we all agreed.
This is when the movie lost us. It lost all of us.
Yes, because it just didn't make any sense as far as who he was. And continuing on with his perspective of what he thought was going on with him, why didn't he just write like a note or take a video of himself saying,
hey, take out your phone right now and I will talk to the camera and say, hey, my nurse just accidentally gave me too much of this drug.
Correct.
It's not her fault. Like,
I'm not pressing charges.
I'm not pressing charges. She is my friend, like, and now we were calling the police. You know, and we're going to call an ambulance for me. And if I don't make it, do not blame her. Like, that's all they had to do.
Right.
But did they do that? No. He's like, go outside, climb my window, park your car around, then come back, and then put on my clothes, and then go downstairs, and then come back upstairs, and then go back outside, and then I'll kill myself. It's like, what? Like, no, dude.
It got ridiculous.
It was
really
just too
ridiculous.
much. And to be honest, like, we're being really critical of this because I guarantee you 90% of the people that watched that movie with us, they didn't catch that.
Well, I mean, I would hope people would notice that. I mean, it is because it is a very small detail. We're nitpicking here, but this is huge for us.
Yeah, it makes all the difference in the world because literally the whole story could have been avoided if he was just like, you know what, call an ambulance.
I just don't know how Rian Johnson didn't think of that.
He had to, but he just had to. He
just
had
let it go.
Believe,
he just had to let it go.
He had to believe that the majority would not catch it.
So we follow Ana de Armas with this story, this perceived story now for quite a bit, up until not up until, because the next major plot point that happens is there's this entire will scene about who's getting the fortune, who's getting what, and of course the family is very anxious to hear who gets what. They all believe they're going to be getting one thing or another. Like, what's the guy's name? Michael Shannon. So he thinks he's getting the publishing thing. Like, he's all about it. His son's patting him on the back like, yeah, Dad, we got this. Don't worry. And ultimately, nobody gets anything. It all goes directly to Ana de Armas.
Yeah, his nurse. Because he hates his family. He's sick of the fact that he's been providing for them their entire lives.
Correct.
And he wants to give it to his friend, not his leech family.
Yeah.
And they're pissed.
like a friend that's in need because like Anna's backstory, like her family's from a different
she's an
country
immigrant.
and like immigrant coming in, so they're struggling essentially. I'd assume.
Yeah,
So he wants to help her out in the long run.
Yeah, and he thinks she deserves it.
Yeah, I mean, because she's been real with him. Mm-hmm. Everybody else has just been
A leech.
Yeah, a vulture. So she, of course, is getting crowded by Harlan's family.
Yeah, while she's panicking because she believes that she killed him.
Yes. Yeah.
With the morphine.
Right.
She believes it was her fault that he killed himself.
I mean, I think Rian Johnson handled that well, though. Like, just absolutely mounting stress on Ana de Armas' character.
Absolutely.
Like, that's just unbelievable.
I guess it was like a portion of the movie that I like kind of liked because everybody was like yelling and screaming at her, and then a couple characters came up and tried to like comfort her and be like, "Oh, like calm down, it's okay, I'll help you out."
They're just trying to manipulate
they're
her,
greeting her and trying to manipulate her, trying to be a friend and get money.
Yeah.
So yeah, just appreciate you think about that.
And this is when
Chris Evans' character.
Yeah, Ransom like helps her because everyone is crowding her. So you believe that Ransom is actually a good guy,
especially too because the whole family doesn't like him either. So like
exactly,
the two of them are isolated at this point in the story,
and
that's why they connect.
I believed it.
I believe him too. Like his whole spiel was like, you know what? I've been a mooch my whole life. When he told me, because like you find out at this point too that Harlan had spoken to Chris Evans' character, and Toni Collette's character, saying, "I'm cutting you off. I'm sick of you. I'm not paying for your shit anymore." Right. They had those arguments before he was deceased.
And Harlan told Chris Evans' character that he was giving it to Marta.
Yep. He told him that he was giving all of the will to Marta.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And at this point, Chris Evans is telling the nurse, Ana de Armas, that, hey, you know what? I'm cool with this. I don't care anymore. You know what? I'm going to fend for myself. I have this moment of clarity. That's what he tells her. But he's really just manipulating her because he knows that she can't lie. So the moment she eats some food, he says, okay, tell me what really happened. And she has to spill the beans saying that she thinks that she killed him. You know, she thinks that she gave him too much morphine.
Yeah.
And that's why this whole situation has brewed to this point.
Yeah.
So at this point, he's trying to help her. He's like, you know what? I'm going to help you out. You're going to get away with this, but you're going to give me some of the will.
Yes.
And I believed him.
So did I. I mean, I liked the kind of fluctuating perspective from him.
I mean, it's so different in the fact that this is a whodunit, and we know who did it in the middle of the movie. And now you're just like, well, now what do we do?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, he had everybody going that way, and then he comes out and throws another curveball at you, with because finally at the end, Daniel Craig,
they get their hands on the toxicology report, and this is what changes everything, right?
Yeah. Because Fran initially saw Ransom, Chris Evans, messing around in the crime scene with the medicine bag
while everyone else was at the funeral.
Yes, and so she realized what he was doing, and
she didn't fully understand, but she knew he was up to no good.
Right. Yeah.
So now she's like, I can get some money out of this guy.
Well, and her like cousin or somebody worked at like the blood place or whatever you want to call it,
at the police lab.
Yeah. So she was able to get a copy of the toxicology report, and
which she didn't know how to read though.
Yeah. And when you read the paper, it said that there was no morphine in his system. So
yeah, I mean, what ends up happening is that you realize that Chris Evans, Captain America's character, when he gets told that he can't have any of the will, he gets fucking pissed. So as he's driving away, leaving his family at this party, he realizes, wait, all of the will is going to the nurse. I can't let that happen. So his plan is to somehow frame the nurse for killing his grandpa. So what does he do? He sneaks into the house. After he leaves, he takes the morphine out of the bottle in a syringe, takes the other drug out of the bottle, the safer drug, and he switches them, right?
Yeah.
So his plan was that when the nurse would go in there, she would think that she was giving him. God, I'm all over the place too.
Well, it's ridiculous.
It's very confusing. He believed that she would give him the wrong drug and then end up killing him by making the mistake because he switched the bottles.
But by eye, she's able to tell.
But what ended up happening is she's been doing this so routinely that she picked up the bottle, didn't read it, just could tell by the color and like the weight, maybe
the viscosity.
Yeah, the viscosity of it, whatever you want to say. She gave him the right drugs.
Yes.
So when she realizes by reading the bottle in the beginning, the middle of the movie when they reveal that, she's like, "Oh my god, I just gave him morphine." But in reality, she didn't.
Yes.
She gave him the proper drugs, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Which is like mind-boggling. So that's why it brings back to the toxicology report. And this is where the ending is, where Daniel Craig's inspector character, as she's about to tell the family, I accidentally killed him. He's like, wait, no, don't say anything, because there was no morphine in his blood.
Yeah.
Right? So you didn't do anything wrong. Like, he committed suicide. But he committed suicide, and all those things happened because someone tried to trick you into making you give him morphine, right?
Exactly.
And that's
yes.
what Chris Evans did. He switched the drugs and then tried to come back and switch them. That's when Fran, the help. I said don't call him that, but I don't have a better word right now. She saw him doing it. He ends up killing her when she reaches out to him to say, hey, I know what you did. He kills her, tries to frame the nurse again.
Yes.
And it just all goes downhill for him. It doesn't work out.
Yeah, because Daniel Craig is just on his heels and he knows everything.
Well, and Chris Evans' character was banking on the fact that Ana de Armas, the nurse, would panic when seeing the other woman like dying.
Yeah, for sure.
He thought she would run away to protect herself, but she decided, you know what, I like this woman. I can't let her die. So she called 911 and stayed with her, did CPR. And then when Daniel Craig shows up, she just spilled the beans. She's like, I can't hide this anymore. Like, my friends are getting hurt. I'm just going to tell you what happened. And then somehow Daniel Craig knew she was involved the whole time because there was blood on her shoe. Remember that?
Yeah, he really waited to call her out
on the blood on the shoe. Yeah, which was ridiculous.
Yes.
I mean, overall, as you can tell by what we're talking about, this is a confusing and just like there's a lot going on in this movie.
Yeah.
Which you need to like watch for yourself to really understand what we're talking about, I guess. But
absolutely, yeah.
We're hating on it just because, like, again, we're just pointing out that there's plot holes. And there's just things that don't really add up that kind of made us mad or like feeling, not whole at the end, not feeling satisfied.
Yeah. I mean, basically at the end of the movie, Chris Evans goes to jail for the murder of Fran. That's it, really. That's all I got him on.
Yeah. And then he tries to kill Ana de Armas.
Yeah, with a prop knife. And then Ana de Armas owns the house, doesn't give anything to the family.
They closed the movie with the same mug they opened with.
Which was nice. That was a hell of a closing shot. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah,
and forget that family. They're vultures. They're not good people.
Right.
And they got what they deserved.
Yeah.
All right. So, do we got anything else we want to mention, or we want to move on over to final thoughts?
I just want to say that the old man killed himself for no damn reason.
Yeah.
All he had to do was let her call the ambulance. And then they would have been like, oh, yeah, there's no morphine, man. Yeah. And then he would have lived. And then he could have
I guess you could think of it, if he knew his family was he hated his family, he's like, so all this has a reason to die and be able to cough up the will to Maria.
Marta,
yeah. This was like his calling. He was like, all right, I'm just going to give it to her now. Like, forget this, I'm over.
That he was like okay with dying.
I guess, if you want to think about it that way.
Too. I think he was
maybe,
okay with dying.
Yeah, possibly.
I'm going to blame him because it's like you enabled your family for 85 years, man, or whatever, how old he was. It's like, and now at this moment you decide to stop. So it's like, come on, man, you should have cut him off years ago.
Yeah, well, who wants to start off with their final thoughts here? I'll go first.
Yeah, sure.
So just really quickly echoing what we said earlier, I like the beginning. I thought the whole Ana de Armas, from the perspective of her accidentally killing Harlan, I thought that was really cool, fresh. Overall, I thought it was pretty fresh and original here. I'm amazed just as far as Rian Johnson's ability to tie in all these very small details together. I thought he did a pretty good job as far as writing was concerned. As far as like the payoff, I'm not sure he did it the most effective way, but I couldn't even tell you what would be the most effective way because
intricate. Thinking
of myself like trying to even imitate something like this just gives me a headache. So props to him for that. I mean, I think that's really all I have to say, and I'll give it. I'll give it like probably 3 to 4 stars as far as like writing and overall film. I don't know. Maybe people are going to be pissing me. I'm going to give it 2 stars, which maybe is low. I think I might have to watch this again, even though right now I really don't want to. But that's where I'm at right now.
I know Bryan doesn't want to watch it again.
Hell no. I mean, I'll follow you up right there with 2 out of 5. I don't care what people think, but Yeah, I mean, just throughout the film, I feel like I just lacked interest for me. Like, I don't know, I guess it's just mysteries as a whole. Like, maybe I'm just not fully indulged in those types of things, but I don't know. Like, just from the beginning and from the start, I was like, oh, here we go. Like, I know what the story's going to be, trying to figure out who did this. Like, that's it. Like, that's all it gave me, 2 out of 5.
I think it's a 3-star movie.
I just want to say, dude, it's just that one detail that got me.
Me too. That's my only hiccup. I just couldn't believe that at the end. I was like, wow, like this guy, like why would he gives the girl all this elaborate steps because he thinks he's going to die and he thinks the police are going to frame her or like come after her. But he completely overlooks the fact that his blood would contain morphine because he believed that she gave him an overdose of morphine. That's where it lost me. So that's why I'm at the 2. Yeah.
It'll probably change for me, but so it's like that's why I'm at the 2.
It's like no matter what you tell her to do, like the blood report's not going to lie. Like they're going to see that and they're going to be like, okay, like something's funky here. Oh, who's in control of the drugs? The nurse. So they would have went to her right away. Yeah. And if that did happen too, they would have been like, oh, she did it on accident. She's not going to jail. Like it was an accident. Yeah. You know what I mean? So that's a huge thing too. Like just a plot flaw or whatever you want to call it. Just a whole something that doesn't add up. I didn't like that.
It's the donut hole.
It's the donut hole, right? According to
I was like, excuse me?
I hated that part every second of that part.
That's another, they tried to be funny. They tried to really push funny points at moments where it really didn't matter. Like I said, I think it's 3 stars. The ending didn't really do it for me, but overall it's entertaining and the acting is amazing.
Yeah, okay, just really quickly, would you recommend someone to watch this?
Yeah, I mean, I would.
On a Tuesday.
On a Tuesday, like, don't spend more than $8 at the theater on this one. And go to the bathroom before, because it's kind of long.
Yes, absolutely. It's a unique experience, so put it on your list.
And the critics like it, so, I mean, it might be getting awards when Oscars roll around. Who knows? We'll find out.
No matter what platform you're using to listen to us, I want it to be known that we're available on iTunes, YouTube, and Spreaker. You can also find us on Instagram at screenplay_junkie. If you like our content, please be sure to follow our channels so you can stay in the loop with new episodes and quick movie reviews. Feel free to give us a rating or drop us a comment on any of these mediums. Any feedback or interaction is greatly appreciated. Got any scripts you think we should read or movies we should review? Shoot us a message on our Instagram or email us at screenplayjunkie.show@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. On the next episode, join us for John Hughes' 1990 Christmas favorite starring Macaulay Culkin, Home Alone. Thank you for listening. Hope you can join us next time.